Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk English. I'm your host, Michelle.
And I'm Jeremiah. We're so glad you could join us today.
Today, we're talking about something I think every single English learner has experienced. That moment in a conversation when there's silence. The dreaded, awkward pause.
Yes. The moment when you don't know what to say next and the other person is just looking at you. It can be stressful.
Exactly. So in this episode, we're going to share some simple, easy-to-use tips for our title, How to Keep a Conversation Going in English.
These are practical strategies you can start using right away to feel more confident. So, Michelle, where should we start? What's our first big tip?
Let's start with the foundation of any good conversation, questions, specifically asking open-ended questions.
Right. Open-ended questions. Can you explain what those are for our listeners?
Of course. An open-ended question is a question that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. It requires a longer answer. These questions often start with words like who, what, where, when, why, and how.
The opposite is a closed question, like, do you like pizza? The answer is just yes or no. Conversation over.
Exactly. A closed question can stop a conversation in its tracks. Instead of asking, did you have a good weekend, which is a yes-no question, you could ask, what did you do over the weekend?
That's a great example. What did you do invites the other person to share a story. They might say, oh, I went to the park with my family, or I saw a great movie. This gives you more information to talk about.
Right. It opens the door for more conversation. So, tip number 1, focus on asking questions that start with who, what, where, when, why, and how.
That naturally leads to our second tip, which is all about listening to the answer and asking follow-up questions.
Yes, this is so important. A conversation isn't just a list of random questions. It's about connecting ideas. A follow-up question is a question you ask based on what the other person just said.
It shows you're actually listening and are interested.
It really does. So, Jeremiah, let's use your example. I ask you, what did you do over the weekend? And you say,
I saw a great movie.
okay. Now, instead of just saying cool and changing the subject, I can ask a follow-up question. Like, oh really, what movie did you see? Or who did you go with? Or what was it about?
Exactly. Any of those questions keep the same topic going. You're exploring the subject more deeply. If I say, I saw a new superhero movie, you could then ask, are you a big fan of superhero movies? And suddenly we're talking about a whole new aspect of the topic.
That's a perfect example of how one open-ended question plus a few good follow-up questions can create a real conversation that flows naturally.
Okay, so we have asking open-ended questions and using follow-up questions. What's tip number 3?
Tip number 3 is to share your own experiences, but briefly.
Yes. A conversation is a two-way street, not an interview where one person just asks all the questions.
Right. So after you've asked a question and listened to the answer, it's good to connect by sharing something similar about yourself. It builds a connection.
So back to our movie example. After you ask me what I thought of the movie, you could say something like, that sounds interesting. I haven't seen that one, but I did see another movie last week, and then briefly talk about it.
And the key word I used earlier was briefly. It's important not to take over the conversation. The goal is just to add a little of your own story to show you can relate.
That's a very good point. If someone says they love to travel to Spain, you don't want to spend the next 10 minutes talking about your own trip to Italy without asking them anything else.
Totally. A good way to do it is to share one or two sentences and then turn the conversation back to them with another question. For example, "Oh, you went hiking? That's awesome. I love hiking too. My favorite spot is in the national park. What about you? Where do you usually go?"
That's perfect. You connect, you share, and then you put the focus back on them. It keeps the balance.
All right, what do you have for tip number 4, Jeremiah?
Tip number 4 is a very simple but powerful trick. I call it the echo technique.
Ooh, the echo technique. Sounds interesting. What is it?
It's when you repeat one or two key words from the end of the other person's sentence, but you say it like a question. It encourages them to explain more.
Can you give us an example?
A new project?
Oh, I see. And then my friend will naturally start explaining what the project is. That's so easy.
It's incredibly easy. It works because it signals that you heard them and are curious to know more, but it doesn't require you to think of a complicated new question. If someone says, "This weekend I'm going to a music festival," you can just respond, "A music festival?"
Right. And they'll probably say, "Yeah, it's an annual jazz festival in the city." And now you have more information to talk about. I love that. It's a low-pressure way to keep the ball rolling.
So even with all these great techniques, sometimes your mind just goes blank. That brings me to tip number 5. Have some go-to topics ready.
That's a smart idea, like a safety net for the conversation.
Exactly. Before you go to a party or a social event, just think of 2 or 3 general topics you can bring up if there's a long pause. These should be light, easy topics that most people can talk about.
What are some good examples of go-to topics?
Things like recent movies or popular TV shows are great. You could ask, "Have you seen any good movies lately?" Hobbies are another one. Or travel. You can ask if they have any travel plans coming up, or ask about a favorite place they visited.
Food is always a good one too. Asking about favorite restaurants or types of food. I'd add that it's probably a good idea to avoid really heavy or controversial topics like politics or religion, especially with people you don't know well.
Yes, definitely. Keep it light and positive. The goal is just to find a new subject that you can both comfortably talk about when the old one is ended.
Okay, I have one final tip, and it might be the most important one. Tip number 6 is don't be afraid of silence.
That's interesting. Tell us more. We started this episode talking about avoiding awkward silences.
Well, a short pause in a conversation is completely normal. It's not a failure. In native speaker conversations, there are pauses all the time. It gives people a moment to think.
That's so true. Sometimes when you're a language learner, you feel pressured to fill every single second with words, but panicking and saying the first thing that comes to your mind can be more awkward than just being quiet for a moment.
It really can. If there's a pause, just take a breath, smile, and look at the person. It shows you're relaxed and comfortable. Often the other person will be the one to start the next topic. You don't always have to be in control.
I love that. So the goal is not to eliminate all silence, but to have the tools to manage it so it doesn't become long and uncomfortable.
You got it. So let's do a quick recap of our tips for keeping a conversation going. Absolutely. And that leads us to our final tip for today, which is tip number 7, use active listening cues.
Let's do it. Tip 1 was ask open-ended questions using words like who, what, where, and why.
Tip 2, ask follow-up questions based on what the other person says. Show them you're listening.
Tip 3, briefly share your own experiences to build a connection.
Tip 4, use the echo technique. Repeat a key word to encourage them to say more.
Tip 5. Have some easy go-to topics ready just in case.
And finally, tip 6. Don't be afraid of a little silence. It's natural.
And that's it. We hope these tips help you feel more confident in your next English conversation. Remember, practice is key. The more you talk, the easier it gets.
That's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for listening to Let's Talk English.
We'll be back next time with another topic to help you on your language journey. Until then, happy learning.